Happiness through curiosity on the Ranveer Show.
India is actually a huge region which has an epidemic of hepatitis B, and it's mostly in the north.
What is hepatitis? Let's get there and then open up this.
When I say hepatitis,
Sure.
it just means inflammation of the liver. Simple.
Sure.
There is some swelling and damage happening in the liver. That's a general term. Hepatitis can be due to various causes. For example, alcohol can cause alcohol-related hepatitis. Or simple fatty liver, that is your metabolic fatty liver disease, can cause inflammation because of the fat.
What we were just talking about.
Non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. Viruses can cause hepatitis. That is, hepatitis viruses are many types. The common ones that we see are viral hepatitis A, viral hepatitis B, C, and E. That is what we see in our country. Viral hepatitis A and E are spread through contaminated and bad food and water, where viral hepatitis B and C, they are mostly spread through other routes. So hepatitis B and C requires blood-to-blood contact to spread. It doesn't spread through air or water or food. And that means that 4 major routes of spread. One is during blood transfusions. I mean, usually before the 1980s, when we did not know about these viruses, we used to have people who did not undergo screening for these viruses at that time, and they got transfused with infected blood and got hepatitis B later on in life, or hepatitis C. Now, there are people who use injectable drugs, and this is very common in Punjab.
Heroin.
Yes, injectable drugs. And they share these needles, and that's how they get transmission of hepatitis B and C. Then people who have multiple sexual partners, they have a high risk of developing sexually transmitted disease like hepatitis B or C. And the fourth one is what is very important in India, and very importantly what I see, something known as perinatal spread. I'll just simplify it down, it's very interesting. So if somebody's parents, father or mother, has hepatitis B, but they don't know about it because all hepatitis B viral infections does not become a disease. The virus just stays in your body, it doesn't do anything. In some cases, it might promote liver damage, cause cirrhosis, liver cancer, whatever. But in many people, they are just inside, we don't know about it. So in such people, they transmit this virus to their children. So the mothers can transmit the virus to their children during childbirth, and fathers can transmit the virus to their children during the early years of life due to excessive, handling and kissing and all. So usually only the eldest son or daughter gets it, because fathers then get, the second son, third son, fathers are like, okay, fine. And this was actually identified in Indian studies, by the way. Fantastic studies. So this is known as horizontal spread, father to children, and from mother to children, it's known as vertical spread. So this is what we see commonly. That is why when we identify a person with hepatitis B viral infection, we screen the family. We screen the brothers and sisters, we screen the parents for us to confirm that even if they have it or not, if they have, should we treat them or not? Okay. So this is very interesting.
To curb this hepatitis epidemic, effectively, what I am seeing the solution as is education.
Of course, awareness.
Awareness. People just need to know, which is why it's important for people to hear this podcast. You know what challenge I'm facing? See, I'm talking to you right now. Yeah. Parallelly, I have to ensure that my podcast is interesting as a listen for people. It brings me back to that heart disease, brain, and diabetes thing. Everyone listens about these things because those are common conversations in living room. No one talks about liver health.
I know.
Though it's important.
Yeah. So I'm going to just butt in here and say that I understand there is a lot on cardiac, heart health and gut health and brain health, but the real sexy organ is the liver. This is the organ that you should know about. I mean, no offense to cardiologists. It's just a pumping system. So if you have a block, you clean it. And if it stops pumping, you restart it. That's cardiology. I'm very sorry, no offense to cardiologists. But when it comes to the liver, it's so much more complex because it handles so many complex things. For example, from your immune system, fighting infections, from digesting and metabolizing every nutrient aspect that your body requires, to hormonal balance, to protecting, like you said, from outside invasion from your intestines, because our intestines are always full of bacteria, viruses, and fungi. All of this, and maintaining brain, heart, lung, and all that health, the liver is at the centermost position. So it's the core organ which actually connects to everything. That is why we have a gut-brain axis because of the liver. We have a gut-heart axis because of the liver. All of this because of the liver.
It's like the center back of the body in football terms.
Yes. So we have a master organ, which is actually something known as a pituitary gland in the brain. But that is a master gland. But the master organ, I would say, is definitely the liver.
Okay. So many tangents have to go on, but let's go back to what we were talking about, that increase you spoke about in India.
Yeah.
So my argument was that it has to be lifestyle. And then you said, no, it's also this hepatitis stuff. And that is happening because of a lack of awareness and education.
Yes.
So perhaps if every Indian understands, hey, go and eat clean food. Hey, don't have multiple sexual partners. Hey, don't drink too much alcohol. You will curb that hepatitis epidemic to a large degree?
Yes, to some extent, of course, because some of these are preventable. For example, hepatitis B, you take a vaccine, you won't get it.
Everyone doesn't take the vaccine?
No, I don't think everybody takes the vaccine. Even though it's under the national guidelines policy, children do get it when they are, at birth. But then a lot of them are unaware of it and they don't actually check for antibodies and then do a booster and all later on in life. And this is very important.
What percentage of India do you think has taken it? If you had to just do guesswork.
I mean, if you go by the national guidelines, it should be 100%. But I'm not sure. I'm just going to guess here. Maybe 40, 45%.
So that remaining 55 is sitting in small town India?
Possibly, yes. Without access to actual medical care and access to actual vaccination programs.
Would you argue also without access to information?
Of course. Because if they're aware, they would definitely do it. Because this is a preventable cause of liver disease. And I would say that there are two liver diseases which you can definitely prevent. And one is alcohol-related liver disease and one is hepatitis B. Because alcohol, don't take alcohol, you're fine. Hepatitis B, take a vaccine, you're protected.
You think eating street food plays a role?
I would say eating street food from unhygienic and poor sanitized places plays a role in spread of hepatitis A and E, but not the other ones.
Sure.
People can enjoy street food. No problems there. But if they are going to go into a place where it's poor hygiene and sanitation, there is a high risk of developing hepatitis A and D, which, by the way, are self-limiting causes for hepatitis. For example, they'll come, you get it, you have jaundice and you have high bilirubin levels and all that, and then within few weeks' time, it will go away. So you don't actually need to treat it. You just have to give supportive care and then prevent going to such places. And hepatitis A, by the way, is endemic in Kerala. So every rainy season, we have a lot of cases coming in because people go and eat bad street food, unhygienic street food, and they get hepatitis A, which is why there is a travel advisory. If somebody is coming from outside to Kerala during the rainy season, please take a hepatitis A vaccination about 2 weeks before coming. So it protects you if you want to eat good street food.
How does the human eye that is not educated even spot good versus bad street food? Because I mean, I love street food. So I'll tell you the rudimentary input I've gotten from doctor friends is ideally try avoiding cold things and try avoiding things that are liquid based, which means we got to say goodbye to pani puri.
I would say that's good advice because liquid formulations is what actually spreads these things because it's water contamination mostly.
So chutney.
Yeah.
And?
Yeah. Like pani puri, chutneys, especially this sharbat. You have these sharbat drinks that you get on the roadsides. They all spread hepatitis. I get a lot of young teenagers who come and get treated under me with hepatitis A during rainy season because they go for a college trip to some place and they take these sharbats and all these fizzy drinks that are made on the roadside shops and they get infected with hepatitis A and come.
Goti soda. Damn.
You can see, where they're using the water from and how hygienic they are, the surroundings and all that. And be aware of that and then enjoy your street food.
Let's go one layer deep in this goti soda and sharbat thing.
Yeah.
How is the sharbat and goti soda actually getting contaminated?
So it's from that water source that they use. So if they are not using good water source, so for example, they might just be using the street pipe water to fill and use the sodas and all that.
Really?
Yeah.
Street pipe water?
Yeah. So I have seen these stalls where they have a small tap on the side, which is directly connected to some pipeline. And they'll be just filling that up and then, putting it in the water. Or it might be, they'll be taking that and then putting ice in it and keeping it on the side.
Right.
And then be using that.
Right.
So those things actually, it has a very high level of infection rate, especially during these rainy seasons, where there is something also known as leptospirosis, which is known as a rat fever in Kerala, where it comes specifically during rains. And it's because of contaminated water, because of rat urine. The rats come out from the fields and it contaminates the water sources. And when they use such water sources, people get infected, and it also presents with jaundice. So that is another cause of hepatitis. Leptospirosis, and it's very commonly seen in Kerala. And we call it as triple R. It's not the movie. It's rats, rains, and rice fields. So these are the three risk factors that promotes in this infection.
Rice field?
Yeah. So basically where there are rice fields, there will be a lot of rats around. And when it rains, these rats come out and then pollute the waters. So three risk factors for this leptospirosis, which is known as Weil's disease in clinical terms, is RRR. And that's also one cause for jaundice that we see in Kerala because of poor hygiene.
Have you read Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari?
Yes, I have.
He draws out this picture of the time when human beings, as biologically evolved as us, were hunter-gatherers.
Yes.
And how that was a much more beautiful life if you really think about it.
Okay.
There was less pressure of social media.
I understand. Yeah, there was no industrialization. Yeah. I think that's the whole stress of it.
His argument is that lifespans were shorter, but probably that quality of life was much better because it was a cleaner life. There were lesser human beings polluting the world.
Yeah. So there is something I might add here. So if you look at in 1800s or 1600s, our lifespan or life expectancy was somewhere around maybe 25 to 30 years. That's it. And before
what year is this?
1600s to 1700s. Our life expectancy was somewhere around 30 years of age. And a lot of that time, there were a lot of diseases which we never knew about. So diabetes is one of that. So many kids with type 1 diabetes, which is insulin-dependent diabetes, they used to die at a very young age because of complications of diabetes at a very young age, just after infections. But then we had insulin. Banting and Best discovered insulin. And when we started insulin therapy for people with diabetes, we saw these kids growing up and developing complications of diabetes in the old age. So something that we saw acutely, all the problems of that disease in a younger stage, we are now seeing all of that in a later stage. So exactly what we are discussing here. At that time of hunter-gatherers, they had shorter lives, but they had more diseases that killed them faster. Now we have diseases which kill us slower, but helps us live longer. I think it's a bargain that we made with science. Yeah. Science has improved our life expectancy, but in the process, we are seeing a lot more complications related to what actual diseases bring to us in the long term, which was not possible before.
Very interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Earlier, it was survival of the fittest. Now it's survival of the fittest and cleanest.
To some extent, yeah. So I think this vaccination, which we were talking about now, it has become very important.
If you enjoyed this clip from the Ranveer Show, we've uploaded a ton of other clips related to a ton of other topics. So explore the channel because there's something for everyone.